We're at the INSEAD Leadership Summit Europe, and we're also celebrating the school's 50th anniversary. And here on INSEAD Knowledge, we're speaking with Neil McArthur, who is a senior partner and the managing director for Europe of Booz Company. And he's joined by Tom Stewart, who is the chief marketing and knowledge officer for Booz Company, and also a former Harvard Business Review editor-in-chief. Thank you for being with us, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
And general question, I guess, but I should probably start with you, Neil. The consulting business seems a little bit counter-cyclical to the actual economy. You do very well in times when businesses don't know what to do, and maybe that's why you're doing well.
I think management consulting is good in good times and in bad times, and there are a number of reasons for that. There are a number of waves over a number of decades in consulting. When you look back in the 90s, it was all around business process re-engineering. Then there was the internet economy around the 2000s, and then it's been a growth economy and growth strategies since the year 2000. Today it's all about operating models, cost reduction, transformation, and balance sheet issues. So I would say that we're pretty resilient as a profession through any kind of economy.
Are you getting asked for any specific kind of assistance or advice these days? And what are your clients telling you without asking you to give away secrets?
I think initially, as the recession hit, it was all about maintaining the balance sheet. So a lot of working capital reduction to get inventory out of the balance sheet. Since then, there's been a lot of work looking at operating models. Are the cheaper ways of serving our clients still effectively? And now, as the recession releases in the US and in Asia, we're back to sort of growth strategies for our clients.
Now, I know in doing work for clients, you come across a lot of information, and I'm segueing over now to a question to Tom, because part of what I understand your job responsibilities is to oversee kind of strategy in business and make something of a lot of the knowledge that you gain from some of this research. So,
I like to think of the life cycle of an idea from the creation of that idea, which may happen right there at working with a client, through then the capture of that idea, so that it can be reused and brought back, and so that we get better and better, and we hope our clients get better and better.
Is there any kind of example you could give of that you might have put in the magazine Strategy in Business, which I think amazing?
This is work over many years that we've been doing in the area of capabilities. A lot of the work that we've done and a lot of the sort of inferences that we've drawn from the actual behavior of companies in the market is that in fact their strategy should be driven as much by, if not more by, what they are really good at. And too often companies will simply define a strategic position. Oh, look, there's a lot of money, there's an opportunity, and not pay enough attention to whether they really have a right to win.
So maybe just building on that, Tom, a very practical example of what we call capabilities-driven strategy. So Tom talked about how to win and where to play. So, for example, having a very clear idea about do you want to be an innovator in your industry or a low-cost producer? So let's take an example that everybody kind of understands. A low-cost airline like Ryanair says we're going to provide airline transportation from A to B at lowest cost to you as a consumer. What does that then mean in terms of the kind of capabilities that they need to build? So, for example, the seat that you sit in Ryanair has, for example, no table on the back of the seat in front. Why is that? Because they don't have to carry inventory parts in different airports around the world. They don't have to have the maintenance for that. It doesn't break if it's not there.
And by contrast, Virgin goes to market as an experience provider, with the red satin pillows and so on and so forth. Virgin invests in a lot of capabilities that Ryanair would not spend a nickel on, and vice versa. And so a capabilities-driven view of strategy will Virgin couldn't compete with Ryanair in Ryanair's game, and nor could Ryanair compete with Virgin's, and so it defines a different approach to strategy.
So what that means is internally in both of those organizations, there's real clarity of alignment around the capabilities and the business system and the products and services that they're trying to develop for the clients, which means that you can allocate capital in a very clear way and communicate that to the internal organization.
So how do you hire people who can give that kind of advice and hone that kind of focus and do everything you just said? What do you look for? What skills?
Very simply, it's multifaceted, but when we look for top talent, we're looking for people that have intellectual curiosity. Then we're looking for people that are analytically very strong, because there are two ways to do strategy, right? Strategy development can either be a gut feeling from a CEO and a board that we're over here today and we need to go over there, and I feel that's really good and we should do that. Or you can do the type of strategy work that we do, which is analytical, fact-based consulting. So, number one, intellectual curiosity. Two, strong analytical rigor. And then the other things that we're looking for are around good people skills, that they can work effectively in joint client teams with our clients, and leadership skills to be able to engage with senior leadership of our client organizations and help lead and develop and build our own organization.
If I were to look for a consulting firm, I'm an airline. I want to deal with women executives. Why would I choose Booz over a competitor?
So it starts with being able to bring the right kind of industry expertise from day one to the table. We have a very diverse portfolio of staff ranging in across all types of diversity, which means that we can put multi-geographic, multilingual teams together wherever the client wants us to do that. And then our core doctrine is, as we talked about, is this question about capabilities-driven strategy. So really working with our clients to figure out what are the 3 or 4 capabilities that you really need to have for the business that you're trying to build.
And I would add, I've been at the firm for a little under 2 years, and so I still have first impressions. And my first impressions are of the incredible intellect of the group. I mean, this is the smartest workforce I've ever worked with and among.
Did INSEAD help you reach that illustrious point that he's just described? What influence has the school had?
I can't say enough good things about INSEAD. For me, it was a start of a new career. I started out very much as a technical engineer from the oil industry, having spent 7 years with Shell International in the upstream oil business. And this opened a new dimension for me about what business was really about. It taught me a lot of things around how you bring together a diverse set of individuals to team very effectively, and a real global dimension to thinking about business, and raised me from being more of a technocrat to being much more of a CEO level kind of ideas and issues, and being able to effectively operate at that level.
Let me end by asking, and I'd throw it out to both of you, this is a business school. What should INSEAD be teaching its students right now to be able to enter in the world that, even without visibility, you might think would exist in the next couple of years?
The key thing is that we need to, in Europe as an economy, we need to spend less and we need to earn more. So what that means is we need more GDP growth, and to get GDP growth, we need more innovation and we need more entrepreneurship. Another big issue that we've talked about here over the last day here at INSEAD is this whole question of corporate governance and what's the right way to do corporate governance. We've clearly had some lessons around what's the wrong way to do corporate governance, and that's very clearly something, the whole role of boards and how they interact from the supervisory board to the managing board is something that we need to install more of. And where INSEAD really has an edge is this globality, and INSEAD's perfectly positioned to teach global business to the future global leaders, and they should continue to do that.
I think the hardest trick for a leader and the hardest trick for a company is to be able to look simultaneously through a microscope at every bit of cost, at every detail, at every granular problem or opportunity, and through a telescope to see what the big trends are that are shaping the future. The demographic changes that are around in the world, and the aging populations in Europe and growing populations elsewhere, the move of the center of massive demand from the OECD to some of the emerging markets, these changes, the issues around sustainability and carbon, these are big long-term trends. And I think that if INSEAD can do anything, and I think it can and does it very well, it's to give students the ability to be aware that both of these things are going on simultaneously. But if they're not aware of what they can see through the telescope, they're not going to be creating value in the long term. And I think working that paradox is what a school can do, and INSEAD does do.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, Neil McArthur and Tom Stewart, for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
Our pleasure. Thank you.